Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight from fascinating sources. You know that feeling, right? That constant pull towards speed, immediate results. It feels like it's everywhere. We're always chasing the next big launch, the visible success, the quick win. It's almost our default setting. But what if that instinct, that constant push, is actually leading us away from building things that truly last? Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating perspective. It comes from a book called Roots Before Fruit: The Essential Guide to Starting a Church That Lasts. Here, hang on. Before you think this is only for a specific audience, let me just say, this source offers some really radical insights for anyone looking to build something enduring. It asks this core question: what if the true test of strength isn't how quickly something grows, but how deeply it roots itself? So our mission today is to explore this idea that lasting movements are forged in that unseen, often hidden work of preparation, and see what wisdom it offers you. Whether you're, launching a startup, building a team, creating art, whatever it might be.
And what's really striking, I think, is how it just flies in the face of our modern instincts, doesn't it? The book's core idea, this roots before fruit, it argues that the strongest stuff, the things that really endure, well, their beginnings aren't marked by speed or flashy metrics. It's all about depth. True strength, it insists, is forged way before any visible launch. It's like the hidden architecture.
It is a paradox, isn't it? Because we're so conditioned to measure success by what we can count. Sales figures, attendance, followers online, how fast something scales up. But this source is suggesting a completely different reality. It's
Oh, you didn't count?
Yeah, counterintuitive.
Absolutely. And the tree analogy they use is perfect, I think. No huge tree can flourish or even, survive a big storm without first sending roots deep down, often unseen, sometimes for years. These invisible foundations, they gather the nutrients, they anchor the tree, and ultimately they sustain the fruit for generations. And it's the same for any big project where you want long-term impact, not just a flash in the pan. So for you, the person wanting to build something lasting, the real question becomes, how much are you actually investing in the stuff nobody sees?
Which leads us right into what the book calls the seed phase, this hidden season of prep, it sounds like. Well, the crucible, as they put it, where the real work happens, where dreams get tested, and maybe ambition gets sorted out from real purpose. It implies a kind of patience that really cuts against the grain today.
Exactly. And this seed phase, it's not just one thing, it's multifaceted. It's when leaders learn to tune out the noise, like the cultural pressure, and really get clear on their core vision, what truly matters. It's where that deep, focused intention, what the source calls prayer, stops being just a formality and becomes like a lifeline. It fuels the whole vision. And crucially, it's also where your community or your audience isn't just a target market. No, it's about knowing them, listening, connecting deeply. That involves, as the book says, the slow and glamorous work of cultural research, praise, and relational credibility. Imagine, say, a tech company spending years just understanding people deeply before even writing the public code.
Right. So skipping that part, rushing it, it sounds like building on sand, basically. Feels like a shortcut that ends up taking way longer in the end.
Precisely. The source warns about that. A project that prioritizes speed might look good early on, get attention, win awards maybe. But when the tough times hit, and they always do, right? Financial strain, market shifts, internal conflict, those shallow roots just can't hold. Things built fast often fall apart fast. But embracing this seed phase, it means trusting that deep truth. Seed that falls into good soil, though hidden for a time, will yield fruit 100-fold. So for you listening, think about areas in your own work or life where you feel that temptation to rush. What really stands out to you about the danger of skipping this hidden season of deep, patient work? It's fundamental.
Okay, so let's unpack the first big pillar that comes out of this seed phase, that deep, focused intention. The source calls it prayer. And it's clear this isn't just a religious term here. The book flat out says prayer is not preparation for the work, it is the work.
Yeah, that framing is powerful. It's the underground reservoir, the engine room of eternity. So not just a ritual, not just, the nice words before a meeting starts. It's described more like the ongoing combustion, that intimacy with your ultimate purpose or vision. That's the force that sustains and propels it all. And look at the examples they give, like the early church in Antioch. They spent serious time fasting and praying before sending out key leaders. The mission was actually born from that deep internal work, not just strategy sessions. Or Nehemiah, weeping, fasting, praying for months before starting to rebuild Jerusalem's walls. The vision itself was forged there internally before any external action.
That really resonates. It's like getting your own house in order first, internally, before you can build anything outside. That clarity.
Exactly. And the source brings up what it calls the Gethsemane principle. Jesus' intense struggle and surrender, not my will, but yours be done.
Hmm.
Now, that's not about planning strategy. It's about aligning your personal will deeply with a bigger purpose. For any big project, that translates into those moments where, personal ambition or maybe fear just has to yield to that core vision, even when it's incredibly hard. It's like winning the internal battle before the external one even starts. So practically for you, this might mean setting up rhythms for deep reflection, clarifying your why before launching programs, really dedicating time for that focused thought, like a scientist in quiet research for years before a breakthrough. That deep internal work, that's what truly fuels the effective external action.
That sustained, unseen engine room idea is really powerful.
Yeah.
But it makes me think, who's in that engine room? An engine needs a team, right? And that leads perfectly into the second pillar the source talks about, people. But not just any people, not just numbers. They use the term living stones. Much more intentional.
It is, yeah. And what's fascinating is that image from the Bible, 1 Peter 2.5. People as living stones being built into a spiritual house.
Yeah.
It completely challenges the idea of just uniform, mass-produced bricks. Instead, people are unique, they're shaped by pressure, life experiences, and they're fitted together carefully by a master builder. And the source draws a sharp line between crowds and communities. Crowds, often drawn by charisma, maybe excitement, but they scatter when things get tough. Communities, though, are held together by shared purpose, deep commitment, covenant. They endure trials. The early community strength, the book explains, came from koinonia. That's like deep shared life, real partnership, mutual responsibility, way beyond just coffee after a meeting. Think of it like the solid bond in a truly committed founding team where everyone feels that deep shared ownership.
It is a critical distinction, especially today when the pressure is often to scale fast, attract big numbers. Building a tree community, well, that sounds slower. Harder, maybe. How did the leaders in these examples approach it?
Well, look at Jesus. He invested deeply in just 12 people. And even within that, a closer circle of 3, walking with them, eating with them, shaping them slowly. It was intense relational apprenticeship. Or Paul, writing to the community in Thessalonica. He actually described himself like a nursing mother and a father. I mean, that's deeply relational, nurturing language. So it raises a really good question for you. How might prioritizing that kind of relational depth and shared responsibility over just counting heads change how you lead, how you invest your time, how you even measure progress? Think about the cost of koinonia, the vulnerability, the sacrifice, the sheer persistence it takes to build that kind of real connection.
Okay, let's turn to the third pillar then, presence. Now, this isn't just a vibe or a feeling. It's described as the weight of God among his people. That sounds substantial.
It really does. The source hammers this point home with Moses' desperate plea in Exodus. If your presence does not go with us, do not send us up from here. Not go. That highlights a core belief. Success without true presence is failure in disguise. They even talk about the Hebrew word kabod, which means glory but carries the sense of weight, substance, a tangible reality, not just a vague feeling. Think about the difference between, say, reading a report about a powerful storm versus actually being in it, that palpable force. That's closer to what kabod implies. It's about authentic, undeniable energy that comes from real substance.
Right, so it's about genuine impact, real authenticity, not just a polished performance or a slick presentation. We usually think of, companies that are all brand, no substance,
Yeah.
or people who talk a good game but lack depth.
Exactly that. And the source points to history. Ancient gathering places like the tabernacle or temple weren't significant just for the architecture. It was because this unique, powerful energy, what they called God's glory, filled them. Or think about Pentecost. This incredible spirit descends on a room full of people who were praying, waiting. It transformed ordinary folks into agents of extraordinary change. The danger, the book warns, is trying to fake it, trying to impersonate that authentic presence with, great lighting, moving music, charismatic speakers. Those things might stir emotion, sure, but they can't convict hearts, transform lives, or bring something dead back to life. True presence, that genuine weight and authenticity, has to be invited through humility, through waiting, through surrender to that deeper purpose. So the question for you becomes, in your own work, your community, your team, are you trying hard to produce an impressive experience? Or are you intentionally creating space to invite something far greater, something truly authentic, truly transformative?
The source uses some really rich metaphors and biblical stories, too, to really drive this whole roots before fruit thing home. They make it very vivid.
Oh, definitely. They pull on several powerful images. There's Jesus' parable of the sower, right? The seed on shallow soil sprouts fast, looks good for a minute, then withers because there are no roots.
Classic example of quick start, quick fade.
Exactly. Then Paul talks about being rooted and built up. Roots clearly have to come before the visible structure. And the one I find really compelling is the bamboo principle. You know this one?
I think so. Vaguely. Remind me.
For years, sometimes 5 years, a bamboo plant does almost nothing visible above ground, but underneath. It's building this incredibly complex root system. Then, once those roots are set, boom, it can shoot up like 90 feet in just 6 weeks.
Wow.
So what looks like delay or even failure is actually God's design, the source says, for incredible depth and sustainable growth. And then there's the cathedral principle. Generations laying foundations, knowing they'd never see the finished spire, building for centuries, not just their own lifetime.
Right, that long view.
So thinking about all that, what does it mean for your approach? Building for real longevity, not just, today's round of applause.
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially when the world seems to reward the exact opposite. But okay, what happens if we do ignore these principles? What's the actual cost of skipping all that hidden foundational work?
Well, the source is pretty clear. Skipping the seed phase leads to a whole cascade of problems. You see leadership burnout because people are running on empty, no deep well to draw from. You get shallow discipleship or shallow engagement from your team or audience. People aren't deeply bought in. You tend towards cultural conformity, just doing what everyone else does instead of having a distinctive impact. And ultimately, you end up with fragile communities, fragile projects that just crumble under real pressure. The bottom line is stark. Fruit without roots is fragile. But the source doesn't just diagnose, it offers this countercultural blueprint. First, slow down the launch. Just resist that pressure for premature visibility.
Easier said than done sometimes.
Tell me about it. Second, invest in core teams. Train a small group deeply, quality over quantity, especially early on. Third, embed rhythms of rest. Build in Sabbath, renewal. It prevents burnout and actually fosters creativity long term. Fourth, prioritize presence over programs. Keep asking, are we cultivating real impact and authenticity here, or are we just busy?
That's a challenging question.
It is. And finally, think generationally. Plan for faithfulness 50 years down the road, not just the next quarter's results. So the really confronting question for you is, what risks, what fears maybe are holding you back from slowing down, from investing more in those unseen roots? And how could facing those fears actually unlock a much greater, more lasting impact?
Wow. Okay, so today we've really dug into this profound truth. Roots precede fruit. And it's not about doing nothing, is it? It's about the right order of action. A deep, quiet, faithful approach that values substance over sheer speed.
Exactly. The true measure of anything strong and lasting isn't how fast it grows or how visible it is initially. It's the depth. It's that unseen architecture of focused intention, deeply connected people, and genuine, authentic presence. When those roots run deep, the fruit that eventually comes isn't forced or flimsy. It's authentic, it's nourishing, and it can actually endure for generations.
So here's your challenge as you go about your week. Just ponder this. Will you keep building for that immediate visibility, chasing the applause that fades pretty quickly? Or will you commit to the hidden, often thankless work that produces the legacy that truly lasts? What tiny, unseen root can you plant or maybe strengthen in your life or your work today? Even if you know its real impact might only show years down the line. Think about that.